Welcome to Beyond the Awards, a podcast from the British Wedding Film Festival. This is where we have honest conversations with filmmakers shaping wedding cinema, nominees, winners, and industry voices. I'm Joce.
And I'm Jeff, and as co-founders with Laura and Pete of the British Wedding Film Festival, we're excited to bring these conversations to you.
For this episode, we're joined by Toby from Handcraft Pictures, who served as one of the judges for this year's festival. Approaching his craft with the ambition of a director, Toby's work is driven by a passion for the big screen experience.
Today, we're diving into his journey from his early ambitions to how he crafts cinematic magic. We'll also get his perspective from the judging panel on what separates a good film from an award-winning one, and what it takes to bypass the cliches and instantly hook a judge in the opening seconds. Toby, welcome. Toby, welcome to the podcast. It's lovely to see you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good. Good to see you guys.
Toby, have you been listening to the podcast?
I have listened to some. I've listened to a few of them. Yeah. I like watching them on YouTube, so I need to catch up on that because I don't get like notified when it happens, and then I watch like 2 or 3 in a row. Because I don't have Spotify, so I'm weird. So I think you're on Spotify. So yeah, I'm one of the YouTube people. No, it's good.
And,
I like
and Apple
all
Podcasts, little plug.
Oh,
here,
you're on Apple Podcasts. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll look for it. I liked seeing all the winners because I'd never met a lot of these people, and on the night it was quite sort of brief. It was really nice just to see them, normal people behind the film. Just some genius. They're just normal, nice people. But yeah, no, that's very cool. And now I see you've started doing. Is it like people that were shortlisted? So yeah, that's what I need to catch up with, those guys.
Yeah. So we're going to do all the winners, obviously, all the shortlists, shortlisted people, all the judges, and there's been talk of extra people, just like very influential people. In fact, one mystery guest I've just been messaging. Some,
really?
Some big shot from overseas, so that'll be a good one.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And then someone has to come on, and you need someone to come on and interview you guys, I guess, then, do you? You then need to be interviewed as judges.
You just reminded me. This is our show, Toby, This is our show.
Yeah. I just remembered you used to do a podcast, Meet the Makers.
I did. That was a COVID thing, I think. That was, I should do that more. I enjoyed doing that. It was fun. But I was trying to do it with people all over the place, and it made it a little bit of a challenge because I was trying to do it with like people in New Zealand, Australia, and the time difference was killing me a little bit. Yeah, I was having to do it at like 1 a.m, whatever. But yeah, I liked talking to people just from like other countries doing it, not just UK.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was
good fun.
Interesting to hear their take.
Joss, do you think we should crack straight into the icebreaker, straight into the
this is our favourite bit. I'm chopping out the bits here. Toby, the tradition. Tradition on this podcast is that all of our guests are not grilled, but they get a very important question, which is 2 truths, 1 lie.
And
we have yours,
I
please?
thought about this last night. I was trying to find a way of trying to get you, but I might not have been able to do it. Basically, I've made these all on the same thing. They're basically me doing the same thing. So hopefully I can hide which one is a lie. So number 1, I once had to drive through a forest fire to escape a pre-wedding dinner. That's number 1.
That's
number 2.
One.
I once had to drive through torrential rain, avoiding a fallen electricity pylon, and nearly losing my rental car in a river to get to bridal prep. And finally, I once had to drive a boat at speed away from a pursuing crocodile to reach a wedding reception. So there you go.
You literally live in a movie, don't you?
I love that 2 of those are at least 2 of them are true, which is
gosh, I can't believe that. I can't believe 2 of those could be true.
That's so funny.
Not sure how I'm still here, but yeah.
Do you go to weddings with bodyguards and I
was at a wedding once that had a guard guarding a very expensive piece of jewellery, and he was there all day.
We should have the budget for a bodyguard for you next year.
Yeah, the festival we needed someone. People were running up on stage.
VidFlow helps wedding and event filmmakers deliver their films in a premium Netflix-style experience that feels as cinematic as the work itself. Instead of juggling different platforms, download links, and USB sticks, VidFlow brings everything together into one beautifully branded platform.
And the best part? Your clients can watch their films directly on their TV with VidFlow's dedicated TV apps. No HDMI cables, no USB sticks. Just open the app on your TV and press play.
Built specifically for wedding and event filmmakers, VidFlow gives you everything you need in one place. Private galleries, streaming, downloads, and easy sharing.
You can also make the experience completely your own with your logo, color, fonts, website, and social links all built into the platform. So every gallery feels like an extension of your brand.
Visit vidflow.co/British Wedding Film Festival to get started. And as a listener of Beyond the Awards, you'll get your first 10 gigabytes of uploads on us.
Toby, we've obviously, I'm very excited to have you on the show. You're one of my, when Jeff, myself, Laura, and Pete were at the very start of the festival creation process, we were like, what do we need for the festival to be a success? So we said sexy trophies, like we needed, a very hot brand.
I thought you were going to say sexy judges then.
Sexy judges, yeah. No, we were saying we needed like a very strong brand. We needed sexy trophies. We needed a mega venue that kind of sets the tone. And then we needed a judging panel that was like, essentially like anyone on the judging panel, if they entered the festival, they would win. And here you are. So that's very much like, that's very much the...
that's very nice.
Yeah, that was the idea. And that's the thing. And that's certainly what I think anyway. Love your work. So love having you on this show now, but then loved having you as part of the judging process. You've been awesome. Everyone has been.
Oh, thank you.
And I said the same to Philip when Philip joined our podcast a few weeks ago. I can only apologize for the number of entries that you had to review because we did not expect so many films to be submitted.
Sorry about that.
No, it was good. I think it was good. I mean, definitely better that it was really popular than the opposite. It was a little lot to watch. I was sort of relieved when we didn't have to watch more than maybe like 10 minutes of some of them that were quite long. But no, it was great. It was great. I think it's I don't watch many wedding films, so it was a nice break from just seeing the odd thing come up on Instagram to properly sit and watch a film, because I always think it's a shame with our work that, people are watching 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and that's as much as you're going to get out of people normally. If you ever look at those statistics, it's always a little bit bleak when you see, you got a 3-second play. So I think it's nice that someone sat there and watched it properly and as you wanted to be seeing. So yeah, I didn't mind that. Maybe not 280 or whatever it was next time, but
it might be more next time.
It was good. It might be more.
Yeah.
So, Toby, we go back a bit. I've known you quite a while, and I know quite a lot about you. But one thing I don't know is how you got into filming weddings, and what did you do beforehand?
It's a funny one for me. I was at university. I was doing like English and film studies, and I bought myself a camera, and I wanted to make some short films, and I was trying to save up for more gear. And so during my summer holidays, I actually filmed some weddings. So I did this. Initially, very young, I was probably like 21 or something. And I did a bunch over a few summers to make some money. And then I just stopped it. And I went and had a couple of normalish jobs. I worked in a bookshop and stuff. And I just kept having a nagging feeling I wanted to do that. I liked working with myself and all that.
But you say very young. How young? For a year.
Well, no, I was like 21.
Right.
Yeah, I did a few. Sure. But then I didn't do it again for like... quite a while. I then lived in Australia for a little while, and then when I came back, which was like 2010, which was basically like credit crisis time, I just thought maybe this is a good time to try and do my own thing because there weren't many jobs going around, and so I got all my gear out and just started very much from scratch. I was doing leaflet things, I was doing whatever. I was putting myself in like ads in the newspaper, anything to get it going. So it was just like a slow start, slow and steady start. So I'd say it was like 4 or 5 years till I properly felt like this is actually like going somewhere. I did it. I wasn't one of those people trying to like charging crazy money overnight. I was just letting it tick along.
So did you have a career beforehand or just casual work?
No, I wouldn't say I had a career. I had like casual. I was like one of those people that I went to uni trying to decide what to do with myself and then didn't really decide. Right. So I had a couple of little TV jobs, like little ones here and there, and I just didn't really like it. It wasn't really for me. It was all just a little bit to, I don't know, it was people you knew and all this sort of thing. It just wasn't really my world. And I realized I just wanted to work for myself, and weddings just seemed like, I'm sure other people have said this, but when I started around that 2009, 2010, there weren't a ton of people doing it, and it was just quite easy to just build a website and say, hey, I do weddings, and then people just book you. And like, they didn't even want to see any evidence. It's like, okay. I did some wedding fairs in my local area, and I was lower than the other guys at the fair who probably hated me. And I just remember booking like a whole year of weddings almost, like in a couple of weeks. Those days are gone. But so I thought, this is nice. I'm earning good money here, more than I earned in my like other jobs. Just
it's gone full circle. Now you can book a whole week's worth of weddings in a couple of years.
That's right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I sort of there was a peak when I did like 37, 38 weddings or something, and good money. And I remember thinking, this is almost too much. But now when I think back on that, I just can't believe how easy it was just to keep bringing it in. Yeah, I'll do that, and doing 2-3 a weekend. No, it's still good, but that was just a very different time, and I wasn't having to worry too much about, I wasn't doing Instagram or anything. I just was advertising like locally and doing a few wedding fairs, and that was it. So the admin and advertising side of the business was, almost nothing. Whereas now you feel more under pressure to do all this stuff all the time and share things all the time and all that. But yeah,
was your style? It probably wasn't, but when did you start landing on the style that you have now, which we'll talk about on this podcast, but this very, very, I hate the word cinematic, but for lack of a better term for now, I'll use the word cinematic, very inspired by and looks like cinema?
I think I always wanted to do that. I was one of the very early adopters of like the 5D Mark II camera. Basically, as soon as you could buy those cameras, I followed Philip Bloom, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to buy prime lenses and do all that stuff. But that wasn't really the style of weddings at the time. So there's probably about 5 years where I just carried on doing very colourful pop music-y sliders and all that, just what everyone wanted. But it was about 2015 when I moved to London that I just thought, this is my chance just to change it. And I literally changed everything. I changed my company name. I changed my website. I just did everything. I hid all the films I'd ever made. I re-edited a few films, like to make them more like the style I wanted. I just sort of changed them a bit, and like I tried to, that was almost instant. Luckily, I came to London, did that, and it was almost like overnight. I just changed the type of clients I had. But there was a moment where it feels iffy when you do that. I had, as an experiment, I edited one of my bride's weddings in like 2 styles. How I used to do it and how I wanted to do it, and I sent them to her, and she went, "Yeah, I hate that new one. Like, no way."
Which one?
Which one she like? The new one. She didn't like the slightly moodier and what I wanted to do. Slightly like slower pace. She wanted it all to be upbeat and all that. So that was like a moment where I was like, "Is this going to work?" But yeah, I pushed it. I just thought it's a change of client. I needed different clients, really. That I get it. These people had booked me off the back of friends of friends of friends, and they wanted what their friends had, so it makes sense. I did lots of like big friend groups that all wanted the same thing. But yeah, it was a slight moment of thinking. And I remember putting up like very early on Instagram, I put up a post about like, oh, what do people think of like black and white and colour? And then I just got all these comments like, why the hell would you want black and white? What are you talking about? So it was definitely, I definitely just had to push forward with it, even though everything suggested it was a bad idea, I think.
But that was definitely commendable. Why ask people what they want? It's art. You should be giving them what, they don't know what they want. If you ask the people what kind of a video they wanted, they'd all be saying the 90s style of everything in slow motion with no sound and some music. You got to.
No, it's true. It never would have changed. Yeah. No, it's right. I think our industry changed Star Wars because of people coming to it and just going for it. I think it wasn't brides saying, "Oh, I want something more cinematic," or this was just people wanting to make like proper little movies and music videos. It's us lot changing it, I think.
But and during those times, or even or recently, was there any kind of big mistake that you can think of?
Not really a big mistake. I've had people that just didn't. I've had edits where I think this is so good and I've done something a bit out there and I think this is really cool, and then I've sent it to them and they've just not got it at all and thought, what's this? I've had that a little bit, and I'm fine with it. What I say to people is, look, I'll re-edit you something a bit different, and if you don't mind, I'm going to keep that new edit I've done, and I want to share that because I like it. That's how I normally do it with people. I definitely had one or two, like, some people booked me off the back of like that big wedding I did a few years ago, and I went a different way with their
by
film.
The way.
Very good segue.
Yeah.
You talk about
I'm trying not to like just mention, but I mean, what I definitely had after that was a lot of people just wanting an identical version of that, And so when I tried to do something slightly different for them, they'd go on, I would just want that. Some people even down to the fact they just wanted the same music. Yeah. So I get that, and I would do that for them. But then I'd say, oh, by the way, I've edited something else, and this is what I'm going to share, if that's all right. And you can have both if you want, or whatever. I don't mind because it's their film in the end. But I also wanted something good for me, so I would just do both rather than say you've got to have what I want it to be.
So you're obviously referring to the God knows how many million views now.
41. It's up to 41 million at the moment.
Of the
is it still the most
famous
watched
YouTuber? What was his name?
His YouTube name was like PewDiePie. Yeah,
I thought his name's
forgotten. Yeah. No, I haven't forgotten. I always just think his name is Felix, but yeah, PewDiePie is the name on the on the channel. I think. Yeah.
So probably the most watched wedding video in history.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, probably the best statistic I had, just being a bit of a fan of Star Wars, was on the day he put that up. It like outperformed the new Star Wars trailer.
Wow!
On that day, that was the only statistic I remember thinking that's cool. But everything else was just a bit mad. It didn't really mean much to me.
I think it's amazing to watch that film, by the way, and anyone can watch it. It's you've got it on your website. Is it Kew Gardens?
Yeah, Kew Gardens. Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that visually, it still holds up. Like, what is it? 7 years later. It doesn't actually look dated, which I think when you watch some films from 2019, they look it.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably because I just haven't changed. I haven't changed my camera since then. No, but I think with that one, I did want to just do it how I always do them. I didn't do it any differently. I used the same cameras. I used the same second shooter. I didn't do anything like out of the ordinary for me because I assumed they booked me for something they'd seen and they wanted that, It wasn't...
How did they find you?
I didn't want to go. It's always been a little bit of a mystery. I think the bride was Italian and she saw something I'd done, like an Italian wedding blog or something I'd done in Italy. And I think that's how they initially found me, but we just had a good call because, one, I didn't know who they were. So that probably helped because I don't think they wanted it to be like a big thing. I had no idea who these people were. So it was a very normal call. And he's Swedish. And my sister lives in Sweden. I know Sweden well. I knew where he grew up. And yeah, like I say, I'd done some stuff in Italy and she was Italian. I think it was just a nice relaxed call and they liked it. And I think they liked the fact that I wasn't making like a big deal of it because I honestly didn't know. They didn't come on the call like, they weren't on a video call. It's like audio only call, So I couldn't even see them. Yeah.
At what point did you realize how big it was going to be?
I think it's after I booked. I think it's after they booked, and I always like try and look people up a little bit just to double check, like but just where they are or where they're from or whatever. And and then I found his name, and then I think I messaged someone else. I can't remember in the industry. And said, "Do you know who this person is?" Like someone a bit younger than me, and they were like, "Yeah, he's like literally the godfather of YouTube or something." He said, and I went, "Oh right, okay." So I started to feel slightly more pressure there. But it was weird timing because it was when my wife was really pregnant, and it was when my son was going to be born. Like the day after I filmed that wedding, I was in the hospital and like doing stuff. So it was an odd thing where I was like in a weird mind space. I wasn't and also I had loads of very normal weddings to do, and just all my everyday weddings. I still was doing like 25 weddings a year or whatever then. So I just treated it like another one. I didn't feel massive, like I didn't know he was going to share it or anything. This is the thing. I didn't know what was going to go. They never mentioned that to me on the call. They never said, we're going to share it. I think he was about to hit 100 million followers the week of their wedding. And he then decided he wanted to share something he'd like their wedding film to be like the thing that hit the number, I think. So I actually edited that film in about 5 days, like after the wedding. It was done by the weekend after. Yeah, because I just thought, why not get this out and like up when he hits that number and it becomes like a big news story. So that's the fastest I've turned around a film. Yeah.
Did that give you a lot more work after it? I would expect it to.
I think it definitely did, but at the same time, it was August of 2019, and then by 2020 we were in lockdown for like 2 years. So I got loads of inquiries. I booked loads of cool weddings off the back of it, but a lot of them didn't happen. I booked some in Australia and New Zealand and Canada, and almost none of them happened. But it definitely carried on having like an effect. So initially, because COVID hit almost immediately afterward, I had a very frustrating I had 3 months before COVID where I was getting tons of inquiries, and it was really good. They weren't all necessarily like spectacular, but some of them were. Some of them were in places I'd never been, like in New Zealand and Canada and that. A lot of them didn't happen because of COVID, but I think it's had a long like tail to it. There's probably always 1 or 2 weddings a year that have come from that, and it definitely got my name more internationally. So I never would have shot a wedding in the US, I don't think, or I did one in Bali and stuff. I don't think they would have happened without that wedding, because I wasn't really in that market particularly then. I was doing like Europe and a little bit of that. But the idea that, the one I did in Bali, that couple were from somewhere in the Middle East, and there's just no way they would have had any reason to know about me, So it definitely had that effect. It took me to some fun places, and I guess it's always going to have I've got it still on my website. It's always a nice little thing to have. You've got 40 million views or whatever. It's something I could always keep up there. It's never going to go stale, maybe. So I think it's always been a little bit helpful. But I've also tried to change my style a little bit slowly over the time. So I don't know whether people look at that film and then they go to my work now and go, I don't know if that's what I want. So I don't know. It's a weird one.
How would you describe your style now, Toby, actually?
Well, I think I'm probably a little bit more stylized than I was then. I think I try and be a bit bolder with music and edits and everything. So that film's slightly more natural documentary than I probably am now, but not too much, but just a little bit more than that. I don't know. I always find it difficult to describe style. I think I'm just influenced by films, and I want people's film to look like a little movie that they'll like in 30 years' time. And I try and use techniques that seem to have not dated, from movie time. So I'm always trying to avoid any trendy thing happening that I just think will look dated in a year. That's generally so I'm not really making my films for Instagram to be great for the next 2 weeks. I want it to be something that lasts. But I guess we all say, it's hard because I feel like we all say similar things. I think we've all got similar, for me, it's just good composition, and, I like black and white stuff, and telling a story. And I'm very much trying to avoid the there's a certain look in some wedding films where it's a bit almost like an event video, you've got sweeping gimbal shots, and it's more like a spectacle of you'd have an award ceremony or something, that sort of vibe, which I think is fine, but I really try and avoid that because I just want it to be more intimate and look like it's for the couple. So I'm avoiding really wide lenses and all that sort of stuff.
Just shows there's there's certain styles that suit certain jobs and certain planners.
And I think it attracts that side, the right side of the client, because I don't really want to be doing this a massive wedding with 300 people. It's not really my thing, and you need to be more like that, I think, to do that. So I just avoid. I don't want to be a team of 5 people or whatever.
No. When you first started getting that, when I first noticed that you had this super viral video, it worried me. Because there was someone, I can't remember their name, but someone had just a random video go viral, and it ruined their business because they found they were getting thousands of emails a day, and out of those thousands of emails, 2 might be actual viable inquiries. And then they ended up packing it in because they just
really. Okay.
So I thought, Jesus.
That's the thing. I was not expecting that, and I think luckily for me, it's almost happened slowly afterwards, because I think the people that followed his YouTube channel were maybe quite young, and they've got older, and people have started to book me now they've they've remembered from years ago, but it wasn't like an immediate crazy sort of overnight thing. I mean, the followers and everything went up massively, and I was getting people trying to call me from Japan and stuff that wanted to ask me questions about him and weird stuff. People wanted to know where he lived and how tall he was, and I was getting weird messages and stuff. So for a while, I had to like separate my Instagram out to like, I was basically having to do it that I was having to accept every message because it was just getting odd. So I got that sort of thing. But in terms of inquiries, maybe because of COVID, I don't know, it didn't go absolutely mad in a way. But it is a funny thing, because what I would say is, you'd think people would see like you've done a video for someone who's big and clearly got lots of money and everything, and then they'd have an idea of how much money maybe you charge. But I was still getting loads and loads of inquiries that were like very low, that you'd think, I don't know, like it's hard. People don't know how much this stuff costs, I guess. But I was imagining it would mean people would think, oh, you must be charging crazy money. But actually, I've just got loads and loads of very normal inquiries that I, ones that were below what I was even charging before that. So it's not necessarily all positive, like inquiries. Yeah. But it didn't force me to I didn't want to do anything mad like rebrand or anything crazy because of that. It was nice to have it there and everything, but I didn't want to live off that. That's all I've ever, done. So yeah.
I was going to ask about your approach to a wedding, because you talked about, at that point it was perhaps a lot more documentary than what you do now. Now it's more stylized. How much prep do you put into a wedding day? And I don't just mean prepping your equipment. I really mean creatively. How much prep goes into it?
I think my main prep is, I'd always talk to couples beforehand, not just when they booked me, but a proper long call before the wedding to really just chat through the sort of day they're going to have. So I'm not so worried about the time that everything's going to be, but get an idea of what's important to them on the day, because it's sort of hard to ask people that, what's the most important bit, because they sort of want to say everything. But you get an idea from people whether it's the ceremony and it's the emotional bit, or it's their dad's speech, or their the party. I want to get an idea of that so it can influence what I'm doing. If people say, really, we just want to party with our friends and that's it, I don't want to make them this whimsical, romantic wedding film, because they're not. So yeah, a call with them has an effect, and I'm sort of already thinking about music for the films before. So once I've talked to them, I'll often put in some music aside in a folder that I think might work for their film. That then slightly influences me on the day a little bit, because I've thought about the pace of it and that sort of thing. And check it if I can check the location. So often if it's a destination wedding, I'll always go a day early and go and have a look. So I've got an idea of things I can use for B-roll and all that. But that's sort of it. Nothing massively. I'm not sitting with a piece of paper or writing a script or anything like that, or storyboarding, nothing like that. It's more just getting an idea of them. I don't want to just give them a film they think, why have you made us that when we're different type of people, I'm worried about that more than anything. But I don't overthink it massively. What do you do? Do you do something elaborate? I'm worried now I'm not doing what I should be doing.
No, I do similar, but one of the things I do that I started doing maybe 2 years ago is shot deck, which is just it's not a storyboard. Okay. It's just from the venue, from other photographers that I've shot at this venue, that kind of thing. I create a shot list of this could look good on camera and that, what I mean?
Yeah, that's a nice idea. That's a nice idea.
And it's not necessarily a tick box exercise, because it's not they're not must have shots, but they are inspo for the day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times I would literally drive to a venue, and on the drive from the gate to that was one of the frames. I'll stop right now and just take it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just about having some prepared B-roll in my head, because then the rest of the day is just it's a wedding is just you have to think on your feet. But certainly for establishing shots, I do a lot of shot list.
Yeah. Something I do or have done, which could possibly be considered cheating, really, is I'll go onto the venue's Instagram page, and quite often you can get ideas that you wouldn't have had. For example, I was shooting at a venue where there was just a photograph of the speeches happening, which were happening in exactly the same way that they were happening, on my wedding. And there was just a beautiful shot with these massive arches in the building behind, and the shot made a feature of those arches. And I just thought, there's my wide shot, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would not have thought of that. And another shot was just a macro shot of a cactus. And I was like, that looks awesome. I'm going to do that as well. So is it cheating?
That's a good idea. Not really.
I don't think it's cheating. I think it's taking inspiration. But it does show, like, to me, I remember thinking one of the biggest things that I felt improved my filmmaking techniques, whatever, was that the prep element. That's one of the things that I took from cinema, which is like, how much prep can I put into a wedding without it being too much for 20 weddings a year, and without it being a tick box exercise. It's just like, it's inspiration, and it's, a shot deck gives me that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think there are times when I always want to go and see everything. So I do always say to couples, like, I come in like the day before or whatever. Like, I'm trying to make it. So I will want to go around the area and be like a bit of a tourist. Like if it's in Lake Como or something, for instance, I'd never been there before I did a wedding there. And then I just wanted to be a bit of a tourist and go on a boat and get some shots. And that made me, because I think often with like a destination wedding, they've picked that area because of some reason. So the location's like as important as everything else. Yeah. So I always want to get that in. And if they've given me some little hint of something they like sometimes people mention a film they like to me and I'll watch a bit of it. Or, I had a couple that got married in Lake Como and they loved like the Star Wars thing that was there, there was a Star Wars film that was shot. So I just went and had a look at those scenes. I just wanted to see not necessarily like recreate that, but more like what angle of this venue is it you saw before you came here? A bit like Jeff saying, and then I think I better get that angle looks cool. Like clearly if the director of the film's gone and picked that angle, then I'll go and get that sort of thing. Yeah. So that sort of thing helps. Yeah.
On that subject, I have had some of the more kind of artistic clients, people in the arts industry, people in the entertainment industry. Some of them like do all the prep for me and like send me a mood board,
right, yeah.
And they say,
okay,
like, this is the venue. We're thinking, and they'll give me a list of films that that have inspired the choice of venue, and I'm like, oh my god, there's the underscore sorted straight away.
Exactly.
So
wow.
So no, I think getting that thing from people. I've thought more and more about asking people those questions, like on my booking thing. I don't do enough. Like maybe get them to tell me their favorite song, their favorite film, whatever. It's not necessarily going to work, but it might just give you a hint of, particularly maybe what they don't like as well. Someone might go, oh, I hate cheesy romance movies or whatever. And then you think, okay, I'm going to make this a little bit more serious or whatever. So anything like that, it's useful. It doesn't work with all clients. I mean, like you've probably had as well, like there'll be weddings that are mainly through a planner and you're not really getting anything from the couple particularly. Then I'm just having to guess on the day what seems to be like the most important thing.
Did you much work through planners?
What to focus on? I do a fair amount. Like there are people, but not necessarily like repeat work. I think couples often have a planner and then I work with the planner because of that. It's not so much like me and the planner working together. But I've definitely had weddings where the couple have like inquired and then the moment I've said I'm free, it just goes to a planner and then I never really speak to them again. And
I hate that.
Which is it's not great. Yeah, to be honest, and then I always say to people, could we have a call? Like, could we all have a call at least? And sometimes they're too busy or whatever, but that's when it's hard because then you think, I don't know anything about you. I don't know your personality. Like, I get the venue, but it's like, I don't know, a cast or whatever. That doesn't mean you're into that. So it's hard for me then. They're probably the more challenging ones. But my favourite work's been like elopements and things where it's literally just them and you get to know them a bit and you make a film that seems to fit their personality or whatever. I like that the most. And then like the bigger and more elaborate they are, they could be cool like to film, but the less like personality there can be. That's the thing. And you're literally just filming events that are happening, thinking, I don't know what any of this is, what any of this means really.
We were talking about like tick box before. I think, I mean, I've never done, I don't know how the biggest wedding I've done, but certainly for the purpose of what I do, my biggest weddings, I have just been planners just giving me a 5-minute window for every 5 minutes of things happening. And it just ends up being I'm here for 5 minutes. I'll just take some stuff and now I'm doing 5 minutes of the table settings. I'm doing 5. It just feels like there's no flow to it. It's not cohesive,
No, I've had one I really would insist next time this never happens. At the planner, it was like a big team and they had someone that was just there to like shadow me the whole time. And they were literally just following me around. And they had like
a content creator or...
No, more like they were just, it was basically like the videographer's planner assistant or whatever. And then they would just sort of have a clipboard of things the couple had mentioned they want. And they go, oh, you need to get that. And then you need to get this and that. there's no creativity in that sort of thing. It's like,
that really
and
depends
people,
on
I
the
think
person,
often
though,
couples don't get what should be for photographers and what should be for videographers. So they say like, oh, they want all these details of the table. I think that's not really a video thing. That's more like a photo thing. So yeah, that could be a challenge, that sort of thing.
It can be. I've had a couple of those that are nice though, and they've just gone, okay, can I help you with anything? And you're like, cup of tea?
No, that's great. If you've just got, oh yeah, that's better.
I can't believe you asked for a cup of tea on a wedding day.
Well, I've got to keep it clean. Usually it's like a margarita or porn star martini.
I want to talk about the festival now, Toby, because obviously we talk about your style, which I love, and I think a lot of people do. We spoke to Philip White a few weeks ago, who took a lot of inspiration from the festival, and he was a very, very established filmmaker as well.
Yeah.
What, if any, inspiration did you take from the festival?
I think the main thing was I thought I was already being like very bold and brave and doing what I wanted, and then you see some people that are really just going their own way and being very bold with their like stylistic choices, and they were often the ones we were like awarding. And I was thinking, maybe I'm still playing it a bit safe sometimes, because actually you can go with them bolder and like go even more stylized or whatever. They were the things I took from it, like not necessarily one particular film, but it was just someone just did a standout thing that I thought, actually I probably would have erred away from doing that, because I'd be worried, like, will the couple like it or whatever. And I don't know whether that's come from them just being very good at branding and couples want that exact thing, or whether they've just been brave enough to just say to couples, this is what I've done, and like, see if you like it or not. But yeah, that was my main takeaway, was actually I could be even more out there if I want to be, with some like visual choices. It also, not necessarily in a negative way, but it did also make me think I do want to keep things feeling like a wedding, because some films, though I really like them, I maybe felt like you can maybe go too far with things that just turn into like a little stylized movie, and there isn't actually any real wedding in there or whatever. I don't necessarily think any of our winners that was the case, but I remember looking at some films thinking, I can see this is all cool and everything, but I'm not really feeling like I've seen any like actual wedding in this, or any actual like emotional. So it's also made me think I do always want to keep those bits in there. Like, I don't want to become one of those people that's just like a big couple shoot and there's nothing of like the actual day. So I definitely took that from it. But there were people that are maybe, I don't want to say like more normal weddings, but people just doing completely normal weddings, but they told such a nice story and it was quite emotional. That could be way more impactful than something really over stylized and over the top. So I was taken from that, like, you don't want to get carried away. You want to make sure it's still like a wedding film, just because our industry's gone a bit the way of it being, quite slick and things. It doesn't necessarily mean couples are thinking that. Like, I always have to remind myself that couples maybe have never seen a wedding film before, and as far as they're concerned, it was what they saw of their parents like 20 years ago or whatever. So trying to keep the wedding day in there is something I've tried to do more this year. Like, I think even I probably got slightly carried away with some weddings, just wanting to do something cool that looked like a movie, and then thinking, but was that their personality at all? I don't know. So yeah, I think I took that from it. There were obviously just some absolute blinders that made me think. The +2 guys, the black and white one that I think we all loved.
The Portofino.
Yeah, I mean that was right up my street stylistic. Like, it was perfect because it wasn't a wedding. It was like a sort of. Was it an engagement shoot maybe or something?
I think it's a pre-wedding shoot, isn't it?
Pre-wedding shoot. And so to me, that was sort of perfect, because if that had been a wedding film, I don't know what I would have thought, because it was just the two of them and, where's the wedding? But it made me think I'd love to do something like that with a couple. I've done a few elopements where I now think, actually, I just should have just something way weirder with them, bolder or whatever with them. I don't know. Maybe I played it a bit safe, because that was stunning. A stunning piece of work.
You know what? It's a good job we had the beyond the wedding category, isn't it? Because otherwise, things like that might not have been entered. Absolute gems like that.
No, it's true. I think because it also makes you think, actually, there are things you could do around a wedding day, because a wedding day can be a bit frustrating sometimes. You want to do this stuff, but there's no time and a couple are busy and you don't. So actually, the idea of maybe doing like a pre-shoot with people, it gave me thought for things like that. Like it's an extra thing you could do. How about we just make you a really cool movie and then you get a wedding film as well, sort of thing, because that's almost more interesting to me. So yeah, I definitely took stuff like that away from it, in a positive way. I think, I feel like obviously a lot of people probably watched some of those films and thought this is so out there, I'm never going to do that. But I don't think it mattered. I don't think I'm going to be like the Wild Strawberry guys or whatever. I don't think I'm ever going to. It took a different level of like intimacy with a couple and like getting to know them and being right in there and almost being part of it. It's not really my thing. So I think you could only create a film like that by having that relationship with a couple. That I don't think the sort of clients I necessarily work with are going to be like that. But it at least made me think you can be really bold and people are still going to like it. And so I'm going to try that more.
You know what? We need to start mentioning poor old Matthias, because everyone we've had on the podcast has mentioned the Wild Strawberry and +2, but no one's mentioned Callen films. And it's just suddenly occurred to me that one of the judges, I'll name him, Philip, was absolutely blown away by Callen films, and so much so that when we first said, "Oh my God, some of these films from Europe are amazing," he went, "Yeah," and he was thinking Callen, Matthias definitely deserves a mention. He won best cinematography, didn't he? Very deservedly.
Yeah,
so.
No, those films were great. I think the thing some of them I just absolutely loved and thought they were stunning. Some of them, it's not necessarily whether I really liked them or I didn't like them. It was just so out there. I think things like Wild Strawberry, it was just so different. It made me think you could be bold. It wasn't necessarily like my favourite look or whatever. I'd say, because equally, and you might have to cut this out because I can't remember his name, but the guy, it was an English guy who did the little film that was all like shot on 16mm or something.
Mackenzie.
It was just a couple of...
Scottish.
Mackenzie wedding film, is that what it is?
That's Mackenzie,
yeah. Don't say English.
Yeah, no, sorry. Let's start that again. Mackenzie wedding film, because I loved that, and I know it wasn't like a wedding film necessarily. He put in like a little, I don't know, it's like a minute long or something, very saturated movie like thing with a couple. I mean, I absolutely loved that. To me, it was just, it was great. It was just so different and interesting. They were the things that I took from it like that. I'm not necessarily going to do those things, but just to see people really taking a risk doing something. Like if you shot that on film as well and it could all go wrong, I don't know. I like that. I like that they took a risk. It's bold.
Well, we talked about, we reviewed 268 films, Toby, and what would you say catches your attention in the first 30 seconds of a film, knowing that you've watched so many?
I think it's just someone, when I can tell that someone's doing something that they think's really cool and it works really well, like it's got their personality in it, or they've done something bold because they know it would work for the film, rather than just trying to create a sort of typical wedding film, playing it safe. The second someone just did something weird and different, even if it didn't even quite work, to me, just that's what always stands out, because I think you're just trying something. I like when people are trying something different, even if it's not necessarily they pulled it off. I just like seeing people being creative rather than getting into a sort of rhythm and just having a template and that sort of thing. So if someone can just do something very big and bold in the first 30 seconds, then not thinking they've got to start a film with the morning, or not thinking it has to start with an established shot or whatever, just going straight into the film and a sort of cold open or something like that. I like that sort of thing. Go straight into the bride crying about something and it's just an emotional punch. They're the sort of things I'm looking for, because it just captures your attention in a way that it doesn't have to be a big moment. It could be quite a small, intimate little moment or something with a couple, but it's just something that isn't just going through the motions, that looks like you're just putting together a wedding film in the way that everyone thinks they should be.
You've actually half answered this next question, but I was going to ask, is there a mistake that you see people making over and over again?
I mean, I think we've all say the standard things like opening with a drone shot, but to me, it's not so much like doing the same shot everyone does. It's just feeling like you have to play by a certain rule, and like you've always got to open your film with something establishing rather than something different. The other thing, I think, I'm not like against people doing trends and things like Super 8 or like camcorder stuff, but I do also think if you can tell people are sort of crowbarring something in because it seems to be the thing, I think that's a mistake. Like you'll watch someone's film and you think this is really nice, but I don't get why you've got that thing going on in it. And I think it's probably just because it seems to be the thing everyone wants right now. So if I just think it doesn't match what you were trying to do, then yeah, I think that's the biggest mistake. Like that stuff could be used really well and could be really cool, but if it just looks like you're thinking, yeah, I better get that thing, or I better use this song, or I better whatever, that I don't like trendy stuff. so yeah, I just want to see people doing something that's clearly they've thought of and thought this would be cool, and yeah, and that like again, I'm terrible with forgetting everything. We had the one with the couple in the caravan.
Yes, journal.
It was a caravan or a camper van. Sorry, yeah. I mean, I loved that, and there was like lots of stuff in the wing mirror, and it was all very understated, and it started quite slowly, and it almost caught my attention because it wasn't trying to be like, look at this, you know. It was all quite quiet, and it just felt like I hadn't seen someone do that, and I really liked that. Whereas you get a tendency now, especially with like Instagram things, to sort of be throwing everything at it. You'll see a film and it's got like every different. You have a bit of black and white, a bit of Super 8, a bit of this, and I don't know, it's just a bit of a mess to me, partly because I don't know what it is you're trying to say with all that stuff necessarily, rather than look at all these techniques. You know, that's what it is. I think all those things have a place, but, you know, if you watched, I don't know, like you watched a big epic movie like the new Chris Nolan film, and then he had a bit of Super 8 in, you'd be going, what the hell is that? So I think with wedding films, I try and think of it in the same way. I think you've got a certain style here, and a certain type of music, and a certain tone to the film. It doesn't fit that you've now got this sort of camcorder with a date on it. It doesn't work, you know, but it can work with other people's work. I think that's all that's my main. We just got a lot of that this year, I think, where I just noticed a lot of people were using similar little tricks like Super 8, and sometimes it really worked well, and others I thought, I just don't see how this works with this type of wedding or this type of film. Or
we've got a category for this next year, don't we?
Oh, have you?
It's a dedicated. It's not just Super 8, but it's like, I can't remember what we've called it. Is it vintage style?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like this. So it could be camcorders, VHS, Super 8, whatever.
But the point Toby's making is it's got to work. You know, it's like
I agree. That's what I think we're saying the same thing, which is it's not just about using it; it's the application of that footage in the context of a wedding film. Yeah.
Like if you gave a couple
while you're editing, like you know, when you're editing, you've got to have this sixth sense of like knowing when something's working, and there's no science to it. And I guess that's why it's difficult, and I guess that's why it takes me, you know, a month to make a 1 minute reel.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right. Plugging away until it works.
I think you go away. I always think the best thing is to do it, go away, leave it. If I can, if it's a massive rush, I try and edit my teaser things quite quickly, but then I'll often leave them for like a few days or whatever, and then I'll come back, and it's weird how quickly you can think, what was I doing with that? You know, what was I doing that? That seems mad. Seems like a mad idea, but because in the moment you get into something and you think this would be cool, or you saw something that inspired you, and then you realise this doesn't fit at all. So I think that's an interesting thing, having that category, because that will be more like a test of people really using it well, and like there are some people I know that their whole business is built around something like Super 8, and then that, to me, obviously it's going to work, you'd think, with their work, because it's going to be like they've built their whole film around it. What I don't like is just when it's a normal wedding film and there's just like 5 seconds of a blurry shot of something, and you think, I don't know, like what I generally just am thinking, what's supposed to make me feel or think, you know, that shot, why is it there, you know? Because I also have a slight thing, probably coming from like the 90s. To me, 90s camcorders have a bit of a found footage sort of thing to them, like Blair Witch Project or something. So I always feel a little bit like, oh, something weird's going to happen now. There's like a camera that's zooming on the bride, something like something foreboding about it. I don't know. Like, so yeah, it's hard for me to get my head around that one a little bit. But and the idea of it being nostalgic like Super 8. I mean, I wonder how many people getting married now even know what Super 8 was. Like, yeah, it's a weird one. But no, I'll be interested to see that, because I think that's done really well. I think it could be great. It's just, I mean, I've got a wedding next year and they want Super 8. And And I've already started thinking about how I'm going to fit that in, like how I'm going to make it work and do something with it that's a little bit different to just throughout the day. There's just a 5-second clip of that moment from a Super 8 camera. I don't know. Like, I don't know what, but they're really keen on it. But I did make it clear that like it's not normally my thing, and let me think on how to like use it in an interesting way, I guess. So hopefully, that wedding's after our next judging thing, so I can nick everyone's ideas.
Yeah,
that's from that catch.
That's the real reason we did it. Evil laugh. So I guess you've answered a couple of questions that I've written down here. So
okay.
Skip straight to what excites you most about the future of wedding filmmaking?
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because it almost sounds like a negative, but it is a positive. I think what excites me is maybe there being like a slight backlash to everything being perfect, and then because of AI. Because I've always been a fan of things being a little bit rougher and grainier and a bit more like in the moment, and things like, I've never been a fan of like things being really slick and overproduced, and I think AI has almost taken that to such a level that people just hate it, or like a lot of people do. That I almost, I like to hear that there's a generation of people coming up that maybe prefer like more tangible things, and they want like stuff on film, and they like records and cassettes, and all that sort of. Because to me, it just means hopefully we'll have hit a peak with things being like overly produced, and you've photoshopped things to death, and it could get back to more realistic moments and things feeling real. Because that's, to me, I think wedding films are best when they're like very honest, and the couple are really sort of shown off as they really are. And so, I guess what excites me, I guess, is the hope that it seems to be we're getting away from this idea that everything's got to be like super polished and eerily like digital and all that sort of thing, and people want things to be a bit more raw and in the moment, and that suits my style sort of thing. If it goes that way, if it goes completely AI and the whole wedding's done by AI, I'll probably leg it.
You and me both.
But and it's just innovation. I think the other thing I'd say is when I started doing this, every photographer I worked with was just some old guy who was a bit like bitter about it all. It was a hard world to get into at that point, when it felt like we were on the edge of things becoming like digital cameras and all that. And so there was a lot of like older dudes who were just moaning about all these new people coming in, and it felt sort of, it was a real downer when I was just starting. And so what I like now is I just feel like there's so much more innovation and, diversity. It was all just guys doing it when I started, and exactly. So I feel like that's really nice that it's become, what we got from the awards as well is there's a much more diverse group of people doing this stuff and doing it in different ways, and I really like that because I started at a time when I thought this seems like a sort of old man's club that I don't want to be part of when I was only like in my 20s. But so I like that it's got. People moan about there being loads of more people coming into the industry or whatever, but I like the fact it's being seen as an actual like profession that people aspire to, because it used to be this sort of joke thing. I'd tell my friends I'd film at weddings, they'd just be like, well, when are you going to get an actual job, sort of that. But now it feels like it's seen as an actual path you can take and a proper career. So I feel positive about that I think it's changed in a good way. And like all the social side as well. Like there was nothing like that when I started. Like there was no one to meet up with. I'd see people at a wedding fair, and that would be it. I'd never. There weren't like all these groups and meetups and awards and all that stuff that feel very positive, and you get to meet everyone. I really like how it's become, more of a collective thing, and everyone supports each other. It's just a very different world to when I first started doing it. When you got the cold shoulder from some old photographer who wondered what the hell you're doing, and you
can't shoot on that. That's a stills camera.
Exactly.
All like that. Well, all those oldies anyway. All right. Should we do the quick fire round?
Let's do a quick fire.
One each, Joce.
You are.
Shall I kick off?
All right.
Okay, Toby.
Go for it.
Favorite lens?
My favorite lens has to be my little Voigtlander 40mm lens. That it's like a manual focus lens, and it's pretty much what I shoot on all day. So it's going to have to be that. It's just a nice metal lens. It's got a very nice manual focus on it. It is manual focus, which is a downside, but I've just got used to shooting basically the whole day on manual focus. But yeah, it opens very wide. It's got some nice flare and everything. That I can't see me ever changing that lens. I'm thinking about buying another one in case I break it at a wedding and I don't know what to do with myself. So I need another one.
I might have to try it out.
Yeah, it's just. You've got to get.
That sounds like, sorry, Toby, that sounds like my granddad. When he had a very expensive, I think, BMW or something. And I swear, bought a second car so he didn't actually scratch the BMW. That sounds like what you want to do here.
I think I've just been at a few weddings where people have knocked a camera mine over and they've smashed like a lens. And I don't really care when it's just some, Canon 24 thing or not like a really expensive one, but whereas that lens, I've almost got to the point where I can't do without shooting on there all day, because it's just it's quite heavy, but it's just a nice solid thing that I can pretty much get through the whole day and I quite like. I don't think everyone's got to shoot on primes or anything, but I quite like that I've just got used to what the focal length is. So if I'm looking at something happening, I know if I put it up it's going to be good, or I know I need to get closer. I've just got used to the idea of having like a zoom lens where I can decide in the moment. I don't know, just doesn't really suit me as much. I like running over and getting something at the focal length of my lens, whatever. And I do like to shoot wide open quite a bit, and it goes to like 1.2, so it's very nice. This is why I don't want to be a photographer, because I get away with flare and noise and almost everything can be out of focus. We just sort of get away with it with video. I've done confetti before where the couple are basically out of focus, but the confetti's in focus and it looks cool. But I think if a photographer did that, people would be like, why are our faces blurred? But yeah,
artistic decision.
Yeah, exactly. We could just say, wow, yeah, I was trying to say something interesting about it.
Favorite part of the wedding day to film?
What do I think of this? I think it's probably like the evening. It's probably like the party, which might sound weird because I don't necessarily do a lot of that in my films. But I have a sort of bit of a process for doing like bridal prep and things. I have certain shots I want to get, and everything's slightly constrained by what's going on and if they're busy or they're late or they're stressed or whatever. But the party's always just when everyone lets their hair down, and I could just do what I want and try some weird stuff and film I just like the fact I normally stay quite a while for the party. Like I might stay a few hours, and a lot of what I'm getting might not be useful, but I just like that I could experiment, do slow shutter things, use some lights, do something weird, flash, got some colors on a light you can flash around, just anything that. And everyone's sort of ignoring you then, and you can do what you want, and just having a party. Yeah, I think it's probably, and editing that bit can be fun, because I'll shoot nearly all of that in like 100 frames and then just do weird stuff with it afterwards and speed it up and slow it down. So probably the dancing, because everything else on the wedding day feels a little bit like, this is good, but it could be better if I had longer or whatever. Because I would say I like the couple shoot often, because you can be a bit creative. I love golden hour, obviously, and all the light, but sometimes the couple aren't into it, or they've got 5 minutes or whatever. Whereas that dancing bit, I just know now it's a relief. Like everyone doesn't even realize I'm still here. I might stay a bit longer than the couple realize, because I can just mess around and play doing stuff. So yeah, probably that. There. What about you, out of interest? Either of you guys?
Favorite parts to going home.
Favorite part of the wedding day for me is driving home to get McDonald's, but that's not the film part.
I felt like I couldn't say that. It's packing up my bag and checking I got my gear. I think it is a little bit of that as well, though. The dancing is like when I just feel relief that I've done everything important. Yeah. I've done the first dance. I don't have to worry anymore. I can just sort of leave when I want. If it's a really cool party and everyone's going crazy, it's quite fun just to get in there and get some shots. But I know I could just wander off at any point. No one's noticing there being like a moment when I wasn't getting it anymore. So yeah, and if you do like some cultural weddings, you get some cool stuff happening in the evening, Jewish or Turkish or whatever. I like getting all that stuff. It's cool.
In all seriousness,
obviously nothing beats. Yeah, sorry.
In all seriousness, that there is always a moment. It's always a different part of the day that the hair starts standing on end. And you just start becoming overwhelmed with something. Say it's a massive wedding and there's just something spectacular happening, and you can't believe you're capturing it so well. And you just think, this is really working now, or you've just done a killer shot. And you just think, yes, I'm not shit. That'll be my moment.
My worst thing is that a photographer saying to me, after do you think you've got some good stuff? And I just think, don't ask me that, because I don't know, like, maybe it's terrible. Yeah. I can't really look at it properly on here. I don't know. And they'll show me a couple of pictures that are great, and I go, yeah, well, you can sort of do that on your back of the camera. I don't know. I hope something I did worked, but it could have not.
Yeah. Basically, without the production, like the post-prod, like this treatment, it's just it's just something that's not been stabilized, that's not been treated.
I mean, I'm shooting in log. Flat, I don't know if you are, but it's flat and grey, and I knew I was going to slow that down. It's shaky, and I don't know, like, it looks bad. I don't want to show. If couples say, "Oh, could we see that?" I always go, "No, you can't really place stuff back on my camera."
I get that.
I like the fact that Jeff's looking like Marlon Brando from Apocalypse Now. He's got some proper light and shadow.
That's right. And this opening light in the dining room is killing me.
It's a good moody lighting. You need to film something.
Well, it's good we've got the hat on. Right, next. What's one movie everyone should watch? A movie, not a wedding film.
Oh, yeah, a movie, yeah. What did I think for that? I think I tried to think... I love movies. I love going to the cinema. I tried to think of a film that I think works in like our wedding world, and it would probably be, do you know Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, the film, Jim Carrey film? Because I feel like it's a cool, like almost anti-love story film, but it's just emotional, but also weird and stylish, and the cinematography is all crazy and out there, but it also still works as like a emotional little film. I just like that. It's not like, and I just think you can learn from that, the way they've edited that, the way there's some really good like match cuts and flashbacks, because it's like someone's life happening suddenly all in a mess, but it's not all in order, but it somehow feels like it makes sense. Yeah, that's probably the film. Like as a wedding person, I think that is one that would like inspire me. I think I saw that when I was at university, and I just thought, man, that makes me want to make like films. So yeah, that's probably the one. Because I'm not going to say like the
one
Godfather
filmmaker who inspires you.
Oh, filmmaker. I think I always have to go back to, but then this makes me sound pretentious, but there's a Polish guy. I think I mentioned him on a thing you came to. I'm going to have to look up his name because I can't pronounce it. So make this look like I know what I'm talking about. His name's like Paul Pilakowski, the guy. And I don't know much about him, but there's basically just two films I've seen, one called Ida and one called Cold War. And they're just so well done. Like that Ida film, it's a little film set in Poland. It's all black and white. It's all shots like 4:3. But the composition is just the best I've ever seen. Yeah, I know everyone goes on about Wes Anderson or whatever, which I think is a bit of an overdone thing, but that Ida film is just stunning. The composition of it, I didn't really care what it was about. It just looked so great.
Coffee or energy drinks during editing?
Oh, yeah, I saw that question. Yeah, it's got to be coffee. I've never been like an energy drink person.
No, because you're not 15.
I don't know. No, I think it's like it just feels like some sort of poison to me. So yeah, iced coffee at the moment, or warm coffee in the winter, basically. Yeah.
What's changed the most since you started?
What's changed the most? What did I think about this? I guess I sort of said it, but I think the thing I think changed the most is just like the diverse amount of people that are doing this. That I just started off thinking this was like a game. You had to be like in your 60s and a bit moody and cynical, and now suddenly and like weddings have changed in the sense that it was very traditional and people always got married. They had a church, and there was a structure to it that is now all being broken. I like that. People are getting married in weird places. I don't know if you saw, like, they're possibly about to change the law in England so you can just get married anywhere. So suddenly, soon, you're going to be able to get married on a boat or up a tree or whatever you want to do. But I like
on a tree.
I like that people's personality. Yeah, but people's personalities are like can come out. I really like that, and like elopement. So I think the main thing I like is that it just feels like it's widened out more. You know, it's humanist ceremonies and friends being celebrants. I love all of that rather than it always having to be like stuffy and serious and that. So I think that's what's, in a positive way, that's what's changed the most. I don't know.
What's the most overrated trend in wedding filmmaking?
Oh yeah, that one I could be more negative about. I guess I'd say like the overrated stuff is just whatever happens to be like the trendy thing at the moment. Everyone thinks they've got to do. I think the overrated thing is trying to be trendy, because I just don't like when people feel like there's, not necessarily anyone's fault, but they feel like they've got to jump on a bandwagon. So that's overrated. I think the other thing is like behind the scenes stuff. I think is a bit overrated to be honest. I think not necessarily if someone makes like a proper little, I know people like Adam Wing make quite cool little things where they show you how they shot a wedding. More like people wearing Meta glasses and then just having all this odd footage of a wedding like from the behind their camera. I don't know. I get that it works for things like Instagram, but from like a brand point of view, I don't know how great it is to show all of your work in like couples. I don't know. It feels that you take away a little bit of the mystique and magic when people. Because I think the thing is, people sit and watch my films, they might really like them. Almost everything about how I made that was just quite boring, probably. And it just was, on the day. So I think this whole need to have all this content is what's, if overrated is the right word. I just think I don't know that couples necessarily care about that. You've just been made to think it because of things like Instagram, that you need all that stuff. But, So as much as I can avoid it, I don't want to be seen like on the wedding day, all hot and stressed and sweaty and running around and all that stuff. I'd say that. And POV drones. There you go.
I like how you just threw that in there. It's like, tell you that. Well, look, Toby, thank you. We are almost at the end of the episode, which means reveal time. Can you remind us of your 2 truth and 1 lie, please?
Yeah, let me see how I wrote this. I once had to drive through a forest fire to escape a pre-wedding dinner. I once had to drive through torrential rain, avoiding a fallen electricity pylon and almost losing my rent car in a river to get to bridal prep. And I once had to drive a boat at speed away from a pursuing crocodile to reach a wedding reception.
That's so funny.
I think it's the first one.
You going with the first one, Jeff? I'm going with number 2 as being the lie.
Because what if you're driving through a forest fire to escape a pre-wedding party, did everyone else just burn?
I like your thought process, Jeff.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but they did,
That's the real.
Okay, well, I'm pleased to say you're both wrong. Yeah.
No way!
Yeah. The crocodile one is a thing that happened to me, but it was when I was in Australia. It wasn't during a wedding. I did go in a boat and have to rush away from a crocodile, but nothing to do with the wedding. The forest fire, I slightly made that sound more elaborate. Basically, I did a wedding in Sicily and the mountains were on fire during the pre-wedding dinner, and it was like coming down the mountains and people were spraying it with water and all that stuff. And as we left, the actual road was on fire and we did have to drive through it to get out of there. But I think it was being like dealt with before the couples and before the attendees of the wedding had to leave or whatever, just because we left a bit early. But we did actually. That was with Isla, who you've talked to, haven't you? She was actually driving. Yeah. She was the one driving that then. And I just wish I filmed it. We were just too stressed to like get my phone out, but she just looked at me and the other guy with and just like, shall I just go for it? And we just like basically drove through a.
Remember what the lie was then?
Oh, the lie was the crocodile thing. Yeah.
So,
I wasn't pursued. So the other truth was I did in Portugal a few years ago. I filmed a wedding when it was like a monsoon and I had to drive to this bridal prep in the middle of nowhere. And while I was driving, the road was like a sort of, not like a proper road. It was like a sort of sandy thing. And like an electricity pylon fell in front of me and a tree fell down, which I don't think I even said. And then a river sort of opened up in the road and the road just became a river and I had to do like a 3-point turn on the spot to get out of there.
Oh my
That all did happen. I think I have one picture of the pylon once that felt like proper Final Destination stuff. Then I just had to get to prep because I didn't want to like upset the bride that the weather was awful. So I just had to go, yeah, it's fine, it's cool. Like soaked, and my car was almost, it's not so bad. But yeah, that was.
Remind me not to do this at 4:26.
Yeah, I know. So my whole blind. Left side has been in the sun for an hour. I'm roasting.
Thank God I got hot on.
Toby, thank you so much for joining the pod, mate. It's been fun. We look forward to seeing you next year. We look forward to sending you more films to review and judge. For this year's festival.
No, I look forward to it. It'll be good.
I
think the quality is only going to go up because everyone's going to want to do it now. You know, there was probably that first time nerves with some people, but I think it's cool.
Let's hope there aren't like sort of 2,000 this time. Well, let's hope there are. We'll just have to separate and kind of like sort of assign a task to each one, so we're not all watching all of them. And then anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out somehow. Well, thanks very much. It's been ace as I thought it would be. So it's great to chat again, Toby. So
thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for having me. Bye.